We are apparently live. The intro just hasn't gone off today. That's interesting. I'll quickly do it myself.
Wrestling Republic.
Here's the intro. We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How did not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
Welcome to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. A show where a rotating cast of wrestling fans from around the world come and share and debate their opinions, with live comments from all of you shown throughout. As after all, fans are what makes wrestling so special. So sit back, grab a beverage and enjoy the show. Good evening from Swansea, South Wales wrestling fans. Last night was AEW Full Gear 2025 and what a show it was. Today, myself, Shad, and Clark are going to be giving our thoughts on the show, and let's kick things off immediately, guys, with Pac versus Darby Allin. Because going into this show, I said this match was what basically had to be what would kickstart Pac's case to be the leader of the Death Riders, and after all, he did what Jon Moxley couldn't do, and that was defeat Darby Allin. Fantastic open to the show, I thought, but Clark, what did you think?
Honestly, this was a heck of a match. I know how good of a wrestler Pac is. I've always known how good of a wrestler Pac is, and I'm so glad we don't have to call him Neville anymore. It's one of my favorite things about it, but I am so not used to the look, the new look, the gear, and everything yet. But this match was exactly what it needed to be, like you mentioned before. He got the job done that Moxley couldn't get done. I do think he is a perfect candidate to be the next leader of the Death Riders. And obviously Darby's end of this match was great. It was a great way to kick off the show, and I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, and that is actually a great way to say it as well. The fact that it opened the show, it got the crowd hot from the start. And Darby Allin always, right, love him or hate him, he is undoubtedly fun in the ring, and he proved that once again last night. But Shad, I want to get your take.
Yeah, honestly, I thought yesterday was an incredible showing from both gentlemen. Obviously, you get the most utter chaos that you can get in regards to what he does with his body as a professional wrestler. And to your point, man, I think Pac made a strong case for himself to be the leader of the Death Riders. I think AEW does a phenomenal job with these factions and these storylines tied to it. Let it be the Death Riders, let it be the Callis family, and the eventual breakdown of this, the eventual Jon Moxley getting kicked out the whip. We'll talk about his match in a little bit as well. It works out so well. Pac, he's a guy who's so talented, and he needs to be positioned so high onto the card. This was a perfect first step for it.
There is no denying that, and hopefully for both of these guys now, because Darby Allin as well, hopefully this is what really catapults both of them into the main event scene, because Pac does deserve it, to your point. Up next, let's talk about the four-way tag team match, a match which I didn't really understand why it was on the card. I felt like if they were going to do it, it should have just been for the titles, and to be honest, I think a lot of people in the crowd felt the same. Yes, they were hot at times, but for the most part, it just didn't really feel like many people cared about this match. And in the end, the Timeless Love Bombs got the victory, a real feel-good moment, but a feel-good moment which ultimately means nothing apart from that they are seemingly not going to be winning these tag team belts. Shad, I want to get your take.
Yeah, I thought the strategy of having this match was foolish. If you win this match, if you win a match against all the competitors that are in the tournament, you should be crowned champion. In theory, that's what it goes in my mind. Like, there shouldn't be any more room for a tournament at this point. It's like, yo, sign, seal, deliver. I'm the champ in the words of Stevie Wonder. He didn't say it exactly like that, but I'm going to say it like that. But in regards to the match, felt clunky, felt a little bit too much going on. I feel like these multi-tag matches kind of go on that. It needs to be positioned as clean as ever. And I don't think it was positioned that clean. I think there was some hot spots from people on it. You did get to see the star power of all the competitors in the match. But I'm more intrigued to see what, obviously, the stipulation is going to be for them, because this is a team that I don't really think they needed to win the match out of all the other teams. I thought the Sisters of Sin, aka the Spooky Girls, could have given you a creative match, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping the sisters, the spooky sisters, whatever you want to call them, I really, really hope that they do get these tag belts in the actual tournament, because they are that good. DCX Warlord in the comments saying O'Reilly has confirmed that he's not in the Continental Classic, and that absolutely sucks. But Clark, what was your take on this match?
The 4-way tag, you mean, right? Not the Continental Classic part. Sorry about that. No, excuse me. I enjoyed the match. I understand some of the complaints about having the Timeless Love Bombs pick up the victory here. I would have actually absolutely preferred to have it be probably Marina and Bane win. Other than that, I'm afraid basically the stipulation there is what are you going to pick? Some sort of like submission match, whatever, right? When they if they get the win. But as far as dominance is concerned, I think of the 4 teams that were in this match last night, the only way you could book the team to win last night's match as well as the titles eventually was for it to be Marina and Megan Bane. I'm cool with Tony and Shirakawa winning with the Timeless Love Bombs, but at the same time, like you said before, I agree that it just says they're not going to win the titles at the end of the day. So it was like, here, look, you can win this match on the pay-per-view, but that's all you get. Other than that, though, I enjoyed it. I agree. Card placement, this was tough. It was tough to follow Pac and Darby as well, and I don't think that didn't do any favors for this 4-way tag match.
Yeah, you are completely right when it comes to that. And we got Just Apart in the comments saying that he misses a lot of wrestling and that is why he is here. Shout out to you. Thank you for watching. And DCX Warlord saying today's a great day in football because Arsenal dog walked Tottenham. We absolutely did. It was delightful. And that fraud, the worst wrestler on the planet, a complete jobber, Nathan Fraser, took to Instagram before the match. It's basically, I can't even remember what it was, but it was some caption basically saying they were going to destroy us. I mean, firstly, that is the most... If I was a Tottenham fan, like, I wouldn't tweet, like, post that, because, like, let's be real, they weren't favourites going in. But even still, we battered them. Eze, let it all work out. But enough about that. Let's talk about wrestling, because unfortunately, things did not work out for Brodito last night. FTR are the new tag team champions, and this match, it was really strange, because the first half of it, let's be honest with ourselves, it was a little bit of a disaster class. It was really unform-like for all 4 men, but it was botch after botch after botch. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. One of our reviewers here, one of our opinion writers here at Wrestling Republic, Anthony Ricciardi, was watching it, and he said that he had already preliminary written that match on his list of top 50 matches of the year, and had to remove it 5 minutes into it because there were that many botches. And fair enough, but thankfully in the second half it really picked up, and it was a bucket load of fun. Clark, what's your take?
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. I felt the same way. It felt like one of those when you're watching a game, like sports-wise, where the first half neither team can really get anything going, and if anything, it's like ugly, kind of. You know what I mean? It's just like they're stuck in the mud. And neither team can really pick up any momentum. Like nobody's really executing very well, and then they flip the switch in the second half. So I was completely cool with that. Brodito, what a run with the tag team titles that they've had this year. Bandito is up there for men's wrestler of the year in my eyes, no doubt about it. And Brody King, you cannot give him enough credit, especially as a tag team wrestler. You can almost pair him with anybody, but the pairing with Bandito worked out so great. It is cool to have another title run for FTR in this situation, but every time FTR holds the belt, I just feel like we're trying to work our way back to FTR versus the Bucks. And I'm not necessarily sure that's going to be the case in the immediate future, but it does feel like we'll probably get there eventually. What I hope doesn't happen, though, is I hope this isn't the end of Brodito and their partnership. I hope this isn't the end of them as a tag team. I hope they can still continue to work as a team, even if they do go on like separate singles runs potentially of sorts. I hope that we still get to see Brodito at least as a factor in the tag division with the potential to come back and have another reign as champions down the road.
Absolutely, and Just Apart agrees with you there as well. But what about you, Shad?
This is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking because what was, and I will still call them the 2025 Tag Team of the Year, Brodito, the team we didn't know we needed, but goodness gracious, thank the wrestling gods that we got them are no longer champions, but it's okay, man. Things happen for a reason. Like y'all mentioned, man, first half, yeah, they had us in the first half. Second half, they definitely cooked. They definitely showed why they are four of the best wrestlers in the world, two of the best tag teams in the world. And you know what? I'm gonna trust the storytelling because I think the big match that we are gonna build up to is FTR versus Cope and Christian CNC. And I think you have to have that match be for the title because I think eventually Cope and Christian do need to be AEW tag champs, and them getting over it, they're big time rivals. FTR, it's fine. Stokely half away. I hope you are healing well today, buddy, because whew, Brody King's a big boy. He squashed you like a bug last night.
He took him out. Honestly, I don't know if he stood up yet. Honestly, he might have still been on the floor during the main event. I don't know. I didn't notice. But, I mean, he was taken out, and I mean taken out. But I also do agree, Cope and Cage against FTR, it must be where we are leading here. And I'm excited to hopefully see a tag team run between those two in the very near future. Up next, let's talk about the Casino Gauntlet match. Because, of course, this was to name a new or the first ever national champion, AEW national champion. First things first. They have just stolen this belt design, right? I understand being inspired by previous titles, but this is inspired by the name of an NWA title, and then it's basically just stolen the design of a separate NWA title. If it stole the actual design, I'd have less of an issue with it, but apparently Tony Khan did ask for it, so it is all okay. But even still, I'm not sure how to feel about it. But Ricochet is the inaugural AEW National Champion. And I do think as somebody to go around different promotions, to go around the world, he is the right choice because he has proved so far in this run he can go in the ring. And he's doing some fantastic heel work as well, Shad.
Yeah, man. My fellow Eagles fan, Ricochet, Fly Eagles Fly, on the road to victory, is a champion just like my Eagles were Super Bowl champions last season. This is well-deserved, man. And this is the story of somebody that people wrote off for the longest time, saw that he may have not reached the potential in his previous workplace, tried to criticize the character work, tried to criticize the being able to talk. And my goodness, how dumb do they look? What an egg to the face. Ricochet is clicking on all cylinders since he's come to All Elite Wrestling. His heel turn has been one of the best heel turns in professional wrestling, and he is crowned the new champion. I thought it was great. I thought the gauntlet was fine, solid enough. You got a lot of familiar faces. You got a little bit of the, how you say it, like faction wars between a lot of the similar groups. But Ricochet standing tall. Congratulations to my bald-headed brother.
The bald chants last night as well were hilarious.
It was him, Lashley, Shelton, and one other person, right? I forgot.
Well, Daniel Garcia came out and they chanted, "He's not bald." They were celebrating the fact that he wasn't after so many people who were. It was hilarious.
So funny.
We got Fernando in the comments saying that he has no respect for the national championship. It is not needed, and there are too many titles in AEW. Honestly, I kind of agree. But Clark, I want to get your take on this.
I was cracking up because I was watching it at a party with friends last night, and somebody came in from the other room and commentary was saying national championship, and they're like, "Why are they talking about college football?" And I started laughing so hard. I was just like, no, that's the new title on AEW. It was hilarious at the time. I did enjoy the match, though. I think Ricochet was a solid choice to be the inaugural champion. Yes, the title is a blatant ripoff. I guess I'm over it at this point, but I absolutely agree, Ben. It's a complete stolen design. It's so obvious. But as far as the gauntlet match, I really did enjoy it. I like that format. I think AEW does a very good job with these type of gauntlet matches and whatnot. And monster shout out to Kevin Knight. He took the pin at the end of the match, but talk about a guy that actually stood out in a match amongst a bunch of different people in the ring. I thought he did a great job in his role last night, and a few others as well stood out. But Ricochet winning the inaugural national title, I can't even talk right now. It's great, and I think, like you said before, the right choice is to have him be traveling around, because also in this heel run, he's a logical go into a territory, a promotion, and already garners heat.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an easy plug and play with a local babyface, with a popular national, whoever, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense in this situation, and logically, that's probably why they made the choice to put the belt on Ricochet here.
Yeah, no, it does make a lot of sense. David says when Ricochet said 5 big booms, it took me out, and DCX pointing out that it was Claudio was the other bald guy, and
Yes.
it was just absolutely hilarious. But up next, let's talk about Kyle O'Reilly. Let's talk about Jon Moxley. Let's talk about this No Hold Barred match. Because No Holds Barred, that name, a lot of wrestling fans don't really understand it. It actually means that any wrestling move can go. And back in the days, that wasn't the case. Nowadays, pretty much anything can go. So when people call something that, it's kind of just, okay, there's no rope breaks and also weapons are allowed. But in reality, it's about holds. And in this match, it was kind of an old-fashioned No Holds Barred match with forks, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And once again, Jon Moxley tapped out. He gave up. I'm predicting it right now. This week on Dynamite, Pac is putting a bag over his head, and Moxley is getting kicked out of the Death Riders, because if looks could kill, that Claudio Castagnoli look after the match certainly would. Clark, what's your take?
I absolutely loved this match. I will also double down and continue to predict that Jon Moxley gets kicked out of the Death Riders every week till he finally does. I'm in the same boat. That way I'll be correct. So yes, I do think it's this Wednesday, and if it's not this Wednesday, it will be Saturday next week when Jon Moxley finally gets kicked out of the Death Riders. But I really did love this match. Yes, I thought it was funky as could be that we had no holds barred and no disqualification on the same card. It basically means the same thing these days, but I truly love
each other as well.
Next to each other, no less. Yeah, I truly did enjoy this match though in every way. And Kyle O'Reilly just looked better and better every single time. And I already knew he was good, but I'm loving that he's really being pushed and featured in a way that we haven't gotten to see till about now in this AEW run, and I'm excited to see what he can do from here as well, especially given
absolutely
mentioning the no holds barred and the no disqualification part. I wouldn't mind at all. Now it's a tough time because you got a babyface there, but a TNT type title run out of O'Reilly, something like that, I think would be awesome.
Absolutely. Shad, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is the killing two birds with one stone situation. And first and foremost, man, kudos to both gentlemen. The chemistry, the physicality, the story, everything was so great for this match. I mean, getting the story that this is the guy that has Mox's number, right? He made him tap at the previous match at Blood and Guts, and he did the same thing last night. And if there's anybody that has been, transcended and positioned higher in the last few weeks in AEW, it is Kyle O'Reilly, and it is well deserved, man. This is a guy who is a borderline legend for how long as he's been wrestling at this point, right? From the days of Ring of Honor to what he's done in Black and Gold NXT. Like it's about damn time situation, in my opinion. Like, this is a guy who has had the injury bug, and it's great to see him kind of go in there. I am so compelled about the Death Rider story. And I just want to say that with the loudest chant that I can ever put out there, because this is a faction, myself included, has criticized and put under a lot of scrutiny over the last year in AEW. But look where we are now. They got us. They got us eating from the palm of their hand. We care about the story. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Like, they are doing so good of a job with these heel factions and telling the story within the story between them and getting us really, really invested on how this eventual breakup is going to be. You got to give Moxley so much credit.
Absolutely.
This is a guy who has been told by a lot of people on air, on not saying our show, but just saying in
our
general,
show though too.
But on our show as well, right? That this guy he's becoming a shell of himself. Does he potentially need to leave? Here, that this, that, and the third. But you can't discredit how much of a professional he is, how much of a storyteller he is, and he is legitimately like he has his face is one of the top first two that's on that Mount Rushmore for AEW when it's all said and done. So yeah.
Absolutely easily. I think right now even he might even be top. But up next, guys, we have to talk about another match. And this match is where we got a new champion because Kyle Fletcher has lost the TNT Championship to Mark Briscoe. I really wish this Fletcher run would go on a little bit longer. I think he deserved a longer title run, but Mark Briscoe also deserves his flowers. He has been Mr. Pay-Per-View this year. He has really, really delivered all the chances he's been given, and that's coming from me, somebody who isn't necessarily the biggest fan of him. So congratulations, he deserves it. But Shad, what's your thoughts?
My goodness, this was a match upon matches. This is probably arguably match of the night to many people. Physicality, the bloodshed, the near finishes, the table spots, everything, man. It was just a instant display of violence and war. We compare Kyle Fletcher to a young Randy Orton sometimes. This is very similar with the physicality of a Randy and Mankind type of match. And my gosh, man, these guys really put on a darn show. And I gotta give Kyle Fletcher a lot of credit first and foremost, because like you said, I would have potentially loved to see him get a longer reign, but I'm not too mad at it because I think in the short time he had his reign, I think he covered a lot of base and checked a lot of boxes. And I think for him, this is someone who is going to really transcend into the main event picture sooner than later. Arguably, we already got the story within the Callis family and going into the Continental Classic, and I'm super intrigued by that too. So I think Fletcher's got some bigger fish to fry. Mark Briscoe deserved this moment last night. That man is a legend. That man is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. That man is a Ring of Honor legend, and what he's done, after tragedy, losing his brother at an early age in his life, and really paying homage to him and really living his legacy. Mark Briscoe has really, really transcended into a singles competitor in AEW, and I've loved everything about his work the last year. This was a crowning moment for him. He is someone that can be a great television champion, a great babyface to hold the title, and while you position your next heel to get the title off of him, he's a good placeholder for that. So salute to Briscoe. Super happy for him, and kudos to those two.
Absolutely. Well said, Shad, says Just Apart, and I do have to agree on that one. Zach says it's National Eat a Cranberry Day, everyone. Well, I hope everybody's
I actually had a cranberry in my turkey sandwich this morning, so.
That's great. Clark, what is your thoughts on this?
2 years ago on this very program, I said, I don't understand Kyle Fletcher. That was pre-haircut, and I was wrong because now I don't understand how he's so dang good. It's unbelievable. I loved this match last night. I'm so happy for Mark Briscoe, but let me talk about Kyle Fletcher for a second, because I think not only is he a future AEW world champion, but this is what threw me for a loop. And it's not one thing in particular that made me think this last night about the match. It was a great back and forth. He clearly was wrestling as a heel and Mark Briscoe as the babyface. I think Kyle Fletcher can be the biggest babyface in AEW someday. Somehow, I don't know why I see that. I can't put my finger on exactly why I believe that, but I think he can carry the world title and be the biggest babyface in the company. Somehow, the way he evolved from being the floppy-haired kid in a tag team that's the younger of the two, the young talented guy, into this bald, menacing, absolute killer. I think he can continue to evolve throughout his career. He's got a little bit of Orton in him. I compared Hangman Page to Shawn Michaels. He's got a little bit of Orton in him, but he's also got a little bit of various other legends. I don't want to say Cena because everyone's going to jump on me, but I see a little bit of Cena where it took a heel turn from being the wholesome, ruthless aggression kid. It took a heel turn to bring out the best in John Cena, and then he became the biggest babyface there is. I could see an arc like that for Kyle Fletcher, seriously, because everything he touches since he's cut his hair turns to gold.
I will say, Clark, the reason maybe you think that is because I did an entire video on it 6 months ago saying this guy, young Orton, he's going to become the babyface of the company. This is going to be the guy who goes to media, does those interviews, because he is fantastic when he's actually just as a person doing those interviews. Whereas a Will Ospreay can do it, but he hates doing it. Kyle Fletcher enjoys that, and that is where I do think long term, this is their John Cena. Right? Yeah. He's their Randy Orton right now. Long term, he is their John Cena, and I truly, truly believe that at such a young age as well. He is forged like a diamond, says Just Apart, and to Fernando, it was match of the night. Donnie says last night's pay-per-view had so much good, so much ugly, and so much bad, but Briscoe winning was 1,000% the right call and the bravest call that Tony Khan has ever made. Up next, let's talk about the $1 million six-man tag team match. I hate this stipulation. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of this match itself. It was kind of, toilet break for me almost. In fact, it actually was. And it was just in a really dead spot on the card. But ultimately, it was what happened after the match which really mattered. Because the Elite are back together again. The Young Bucks turned on the Don Callis family. And it looks like we are going to get one final run from the Elite. Clark, I want to get your take.
I thought maybe the funniest thing that happened all of last night on the entire show was a team wearing money print pants, dropping bags of money to run back to the ring and help out their buddy. That was not lost upon me. It was just the image of that was hilarious to me. At the end of the day, I've enjoyed the Bucks of Youth in this entire, they need the money, they lose the money, all of that. I understand maybe a little bit of the corniness on the $1 million stipulation, but they need to be made whole again. It is unique. It's a little different than even the Happy Corbin run was, at least in my eyes. But it's about the Elite being back together. I'm excited for that, no doubt about it. I loved being the Elite, especially during the pandemic era and whatnot. I'm hoping we get some of that. We'll see. Who knows? Even if it's just for segments on television in this return, let's get back to the Young Bucks being the Young Bucks. And I'm cool with it. But I will say that the match at the same time, it was not the best Young Bucks tag team match I've ever seen. I would agree with you on that, Ben.
Nowhere close. Not in the top 1,000, I honestly think. But Shad, what was your take?
Yeah, I thought this match was fine for the most part. Like you said, I think a lot of it plays off of the AEW shows kind of being as long as they are and it kind of taking out energy. I was a little tired at this point of the match as well, but solid enough. I am excited to see what comes upon with the Elite. I think the Bucks kind of playing their half in, half out. We need the money, but we also have our pride and dignity, and being there for their brother was cool to see. So all in all, it was fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. The length of the pay-per-views, because I think that is a factor in certain matches towards the end of the show suffering. But one match which did not suffer was Statlander versus Mercedes Moné. Going into this match, everybody seemed to be convinced that Moné was winning, and I kept saying, no. Stat is getting the dub, and she did get the W. And once again, Moné and Stat showed that they have fantastic chemistry together. It's not talked about enough. These two, every time they're in the ring, make magic, and they did it again last night, a fantastic co-main event, and I'm thrilled for Kris Statlander because she has finally beaten Mercedes Moné, and 15-belt Moné, well, it's not to be, but will this be the downfall for Moné? Shad, I want to get your take.
Yeah, I have to say this. I think Statlander and Mercedes probably have the best chemistry for an opposing opponent for Mercedes, maybe next to Bayley. And it is reaching a point where it potentially could be better chemistry against an opponent than Bayley's. Every time they've linked up in matches since Mercedes has come over here, it's been an instant banger. It's been an instant potential match of the night. And that, all the playbacks, even Stat hitting the Bayley for belly last night, it was so dope to see. I thought it was a phenomenal match, like you mentioned. I thought that this was the right call. I think the story is Mercedes can win every belt across the nation, across the pond. The only one she can't win is that big one. And for her to get to that big one, I think, like you mentioned, she's got to be stripped of everything. She's got to be stripped of her TBS title, all the indie belts, the ROH belt. and she's got to be kind of left in a story where she has lost everything and she has everything to fight for. And that's when she gets to that big championship. And I think that is what we're leading to. But all in all, man, I thought this was a big victory for Statlander. I think this really puts Chris Statlander in position as one of the top women in the industry, let alone in AEW. I think she is someone who is remarkable as a competitor. I think she does everything flawlessly in ring wise. Like I just think she's such a solid worker, and she looks like an absolute superstar when doing it. So congratulations to her, and congratulations to the CEO for giving us another banger, man. What a great year for her.
Absolutely. And I do think, to your point now, that she's going to be a very, very busy wrestler over the next month or two, because I think now she's going to go to all of those promotions where she has belts and one by one drop them all, to your point, to when she hits rock bottom and then builds herself back up with the pure focus of that AEW Women's title. And I think then she will finally do it.
Mercedes Moné will have the most losses out of any wrestler next year. Mark my words.
Next year?
In 2026, she will have the most losses.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
That's actually.
I don't think about that, because I think she's going
to be just like her bestie Bailey is.
As long as we don't count house shows in WWE, that I do think it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anybody can have a Finn Balor year.
No, I don't. I don't think she's going to get anywhere near Balor numbers. But DCX Warlord pointed out a great point. Dez is once again 0-3 in Stat and Monet predictions. That dude just cannot predict that match.
He should just not be allowed to give predictions on Mercedes matches ever again.
Oh, that is hysterical. That's so funny. I forgot Dez literally has gotten it wrong every single time. Oh, that's golden. Oh, man. I will say this. I love this Mercedes Moné is Josh Allen. Is what basically it is at this point. Like, she's gonna win every other game, all the important ones except the one big one. She's gonna have to wear like Buffalo Bills themed gear when she finally does win the title. There's so many Bills comparisons you can make. It's like the Bills in the 90s, 4 straight Super Bowls, 4 straight losses. It's just like unbelievable to me, but I love the story. Shad, I think it's a touch of a stretch on the most losses thing, but I do think it will be a big losing streak. We're all in agreement on that. And as far as the match last night, needless to say, I thought this was my match of the night by miles. This was one of the best women's matches of the year.
Match of the night?
It was.
That's surprising. I mean, look, I'm not going to disagree much because I loved it, but I thought I loved it more than most people. But even I preferred, Fletcher and Mark Briscoe. So that's a big call to make, but fair enough.
That one is razor thin. I did say by miles. That's a little hyperbolic, a little classic Clark there, just making it sound like more. That one's close. Fletcher, that would be my 1B.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, fair enough.
That's in fairness. The other thing is, I think a factor that this wasn't no DQ or no holds barred. I had a harder time comparing it. This was the best traditional match by far, is what I would say there.
Fair enough. Up next, we have to talk about the big story coming out of the show, and that is Samoa Joe is the new AEW champion, and it is absolutely a joke to me. Hangman Adam Page should have had a way, way longer reign. This title change is genuinely the first men's title change in AEW history, where I've looked at it and said, actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Hangman Page climbed the mountain. It was meant to be his time on the top. This title run was meant to make up for the mess of his last one, and so far it's been so good. But as soon as it starts to get good, they've taken the title off him and put it on Samoa Joe. It's not necessary. We don't need to see the title in another faction, another heel faction, once again. Yes, Swerve returning was a great moment, but that does not justify a title change. I'm really, really peed off about this, Clark.
I hear where you're coming from, because I really did enjoy this Hangman title run, and I thought it would last longer, but I don't hate the result as much as you do here. Because I got to give Samoa Joe credit where it's due. I don't think he's got a lot of time left as far as the career is concerned to carry the title. If he's going to, now makes a lot of sense. Obviously, as the leader of the Hookamaniacs, it was great to see the Hookster out there rejoining the ops, essentially getting involved. No doubt about it. I haven't seen someone bleed as much as Samoa Joe did last night in quite some time, though. That one was pouring, and I do have to make a point. I found it pretty comical when Swerve's music hits, just how slow he walked to the ring as Joe is just sitting there dripping blood off of his face, like, please run down so that we can get this over with so I can get stitched up. I felt so bad for Joe in that situation. It was such a wild image as Swerve's just slow creeping down the ramp on the way to the ring. I'm like, this guy's going to bleed out if you don't hurry up, Swerve. But at the same time, I thought it was really fascinating that they played the house burning down as the initial image, and then you still have him standing next to Hangman because they have their sort of mutual respect. We fought so hard that we're like, we respect each other thing. I'm hoping this is likely going to be sort of a three-way type rivalry situation here between Swerve, Joe, and Hangman. We don't immediately remove Hangman from the world title picture. And then I'm more okay with this decision than I was initially when I saw it, because it was a shock victory. There's no doubt about it. I thought the shock of the night was Mark Briscoe winning the belt, and then this happened. And this was definitely more shocking in my eyes than Mark Briscoe winning the TNT title was.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I actually would completely agree with that. Donnie says that he loves that Joe won. He thinks it was fully done justice with fans and there's no actual vision, but I love Joe. Fair enough. I love Samoa Joe as well, right? I'm not saying Samoa Joe does not deserve it, but the thing about AEW, especially with that men's world title, is there has always been a story and logic to it, right? That doesn't mean there can't be surprise title changes, but when they do happen, and we have seen them, you can be like, actually, that does make sense now that I think about it. That is one of the reasons why I love AEW, and if I wanted to just see surprise title changes all the time, I just watch TNA. I'm only joking on that TNA desk. They're not happy with us this week at all. But Sean, I want to get your take on this main event match.
So there's a difference of not deserving it and not needing it. And this is a situation where I feel like Joe doesn't necessarily need to be world champion. Of course he deserves to be world champion. He's one of the most, renowned, talented wrestlers on the roster. But what's the vision for it? What's the, purpose of it? What's the storyline? If we're going in a carousel of these three, I've seen it so many times and I've kind of become a little bit tired of it at this point. This is a roster that is so stacked with talent, and there's so many guys in the main event picture that haven't had a chance to be in the main event picture. Like, you have guys like Lashley, you got guys like Shelton Benjamin with the Hurt Syndicate. There's like a ton of people. Kyle Fletcher eventually. There's a ton of people that could potentially be positioned into it or be rivals for Hangman, and we're not getting that. And I'm happy to see Swerve back. I think it's always important to have your best of the best on the show, and you got to put them at the top of the card. But this just feels so redundant of a storyline between these guys and this whole frenemy angle between Hangman and Swerve. I get it. They have great chemistry. They tell the best stories upon any wrestlers out there. I would rather it be a little bit longer before we go back to these two being positioned with each other again. Like, that's just kind of where I'm at this point. And it's cool. It's fine. It is a shocking moment. But like to your point, Ben, it didn't feel necessary. And the match itself, it was okay. The thing is this, and I knew this was going to happen. The guy in the ops that had the best match with Hangman was the guy he beat first. That was Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs maybe potentially should have been the person that surprised and got the title off of Hangman if you really want to make a surprise, because you could have established him to be a top guy. But I digress.
Honestly, Shad, I agree with every single word that you said there. And Donnie does bring a good point as well about how can you respect or stand next to a man who burned down your childhood home, or vice versa, the fact that Swerve broke into Hangman's home and picked up his kid.
I will say the funniest part about the whole thing to me, though, Ben, is they specified that the family doesn't own the home anymore, or live there. So he just burnt down his childhood home, but just somebody's house. Like, he just burnt
he bought the property back.
That's right. I forgot he bought the property. That's what it was.
Yeah, he bought it back that day.
I mean, just ridiculous. But
what I will say to that, Donnie, is I understand why they did it against the Death Riders, because Will Ospreay convinced with. I understand it as a one-off, but to do it again, that's where, okay, I do agree with you, and I agree with Shad's point as well. Keep them apart for a while longer, and who knows, maybe in a couple of years you could justify giving them a tag team run together. But right now it feels too soon. This all felt just too unnecessary, but it is crazy to DCX Warlord's point that Joe and Punk have become 2-time world champions in the same year. We've got Just Apart saying Joe did not need to win the championship. AEW failed Hangman again. Unless Hangman is injured, he deserved a long reign.
After me and Clark had this beautiful monologue about how we loved Hangman Adam Page and the work he's doing, Tony Khan said, all right, watch this.
Dude, Dikembe Mutombo, he was like, no, it's
too much positivity, guys.
They had such a great weekend, and they had to shoot themselves in the foot in the last 10 minutes.
It was not lost upon me last night. The first thing I thought of when Joe won is I go, the WWE World Champion was put over by the AEW World Champion in his last AEW match. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. That was the first thing that crossed my mind. I was like, huh.
It is nuts. But that does, guys, bring us to the end of the show. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Shad. And thank you, most importantly, to all of you who have been watching at home. We really appreciate you guys spending your Sunday with us. We will be back the same time, same place tomorrow to answer some of your hot takes for Mailbag Monday. See you guys then. Ba-ba-ba-ba.